Hello and welcome to Cotton Patch YouTube TV. I'm Melinda, sharing with you my passion for English paper piecing. In this edition, we're going to take something that we made in a previous video and turn it into something that you could use with your sewing machine project. We're going to convert this into a block. So what I did was I went ahead and took out all the squares from around the edges, and I loosened the margins on the block. So once you've done that, you're going to use the iron and start pressing your seams open. Not that, but just the corners. So one of the things you're like, but now these aren't attached, except for on each one of these, remember you tied a knot in each of those, so they are secure. You're just now pressing so the fabric is away and open, because you're going to be stitching along the edge of the papers. And you're going to go around and do all that. I get sometimes asked, how long do I leave the papers in? Two schools of thought. If my project is going to sit around for a long time, I am going to leave the papers in because it just keeps it nice and crisp and flat, and it's still easy to remove the papers because the glue basting is not a permanent glue. If it's something shorter, and then I will take things out once the other pieces are surrounded. So what I mean by that is this piece is now surrounded on all sides by other paper pieces. So then that would be free to take out because it is secure and surrounded. So just go through and press. I know this makes for fascinating TV. So then what you're left with is this. And again, you've tied a knot into each of those where they meet up. Another press. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to get out my ruler. So at this point, you're going to line up your 1/4 inch along the edges of your honeycomb. Hold it in place. Take your rotary cutter and trim off the excess. You're going to rotate it and do that to all 4 sides. Would help if I chose one with a sharp blade. All right, so now you have all 4 sides trimmed. You could either at this point attach a block to it, or I'm putting borders on. It's the same thing if you want to add it to the sewing machine. So I just cut some strips of my off-white fabric. I'm going it up with the edge. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch, which will just be along the edge of the papers. And then I will press out. And I'll do that around all 4 edges. All right, so now I'm sitting at my machine. I've got my fabric lined up along the edge, and I am just going to follow along the edge of the papers. Readjusting as necessary. I also love having where my needle ends in the down position because then it holds it in place. And then what I'll do, I'll press it away. And I will trim these, do it here, and then trim the sides, and you'll see it when all 4 sides are on. All right, so the way I press, and then I am wafting away. All right, so now you've got with borders, you could always do it where you have a narrow border and keep this wider so it looks a little offset. You could trim it evenly, up to you. But now it is ready to add to any of your machine sewing projects. So now you've learned you can just make an X and applique, or you can make a bunch and then you could still add it to your sewing machine sewing. Or you could go and make something bigger, which again, from the Zaka Sewn, I will show you what I did later. All right. In the meantime, enjoy your journey and happy creating.